So, Matt, you asked the question of how can we use historical awareness to alter the current educational system we work in? And I believe that we can do that by first looking at common sense. And common sense was described in Descript as the uncritical and largely unconscious way of perceiving and understanding the world that has become common in any given epoch. And I believe that everybody has their own common sense depending on where they come from and their background. Having been born in a different country, my common sense was completely different in Poland due to the different society, societal values, and laws than when I moved here to the States. My common sense was changed due to obviously society's impacts, media impacts, different laws. So everyone kind of has their own different common sense, and I believe that it's very important to understand that common sense for everybody can be different, and it does not look the same. And that kind of brings me into shifting the mindset of common sense. So Descript actually talked about two different shifts in common sense to help educators bring historical awareness to our current educational systems and making our classrooms better for all individuals. The first one is shifting common sense around race and culture. And this is where Diana talked about how in all her classes she was doing projects on other cultures, and she didn't believe that to be right, because then she kind of felt like she herself did not have a culture, which is incorrect. Everybody has a culture. But she felt that when it was labeled other culture, it made it very easy for people to then form stereotypes. And once stereotypes are formed, it's very easy to then discriminate on the entire group rather than looking at the individual themselves. And she touched on that as well, how she believed that teachers would look at students as a whole group and to discriminate against them because of their culture, rather than looking at the individual and allowing the individual to speak for themselves and their values and how to possibly teach that student the best way that they can. So I believe just shifting our mindset of common sense around race and culture and not placing stereotypes or discriminations and understanding the fact that everybody has a culture is very important as an educator. Another shift that I wanted to look at is the shift about learning and ability, and this one touches on the learning environment, where it basically shifts from the teacher being at the front of the classroom, constantly spitting out information and wanting the students to have their eyes watching, ears listening, and quiet mouth as a way of learning, to rather having the teacher take students, have the students take responsibility for their learning by applying the information that they are learning so they can say, I learned this, and taking responsibility for that, rather than being asked to sit and constantly listen. I think it's very empowering when students can say that they did something by themselves and they're able to apply it and teach other students, and we can learn from them as much as they can learn from us.